And welcome to the program on this Tuesday afternoon. It is 1:09 right now. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm, alongside Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Dean Wysocki off on another golf course this afternoon, getting in a quick 18 holes before the sun goes down, which is just so happened earlier and earlier and earlier. Bridgette, how are you doing today on this fine Tuesday afternoon?
It's going well. I'm on the road, as you can tell, out in my pickup once again.
Mm,
But the temperature has changed a little.
indeed.
It certainly feels more fall-like today.
It sure does. Yeah, it's only sitting at 49, and there were temperatures in the teens to mid-20s this morning. A little chilly. I'm assuming you probably had some frost on your vehicle when you left the house,
Um,
didn't
I
you?
I did, and because I'm traveling, it was definitely outside. So, yep, saw some frost, and honestly, not terrible. We saw some mid 20s for the most part.
Yes.
This just means that the flies and the mosquitoes are finally going to go away.
I hope so. I'm so sick of these stupid flies. They are driving me absolutely crazy.
Nobody's thrilled with the fly situation. It's
No.
only going to get better, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one can
it's going to be
hope.
fine.
Hey, if you want to be a part of the program today, feel free. We encourage it, actually. Give us a call, 701-293-9000. That's how you get on the program. Well, I guess it's how you get screened to be on the program. Sometimes there are people we don't let talk very often. Like John, what's going on today, bud?
Sure, you had to go down that road.
I had to, man. It was there. I had to take my shot.
Well, that's all right. Just remember, payback, so you know what, sir.
Yes, indeed it is. What do you got for us today, John? How you been?
Good. My weather modification project is working as planned.
Ah, right on. Are you using the same frequency
had
that HARP
absolutely no-
uses?
But that frequency's old and outdated, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
I had absolutely zero frost on my windshield this morning. It was balmy 73 degrees on my driveway.
Hey, right
I don't know
on.
about
There you go.
Ah,
I could go for a good
Now, if I could
73-degree day.
expand it, if I could expand it just a little better than a 10 by 10 spot, I'll have something here.
Yeah, it's a power issue, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you, like Scotty said, I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
Yeah, you still stuck on that uranium, or have you moved on to element 158?
Oh no, I'm on the dilithium crystals all the way at this
Oh,
point.
okay. Right on.
I'm on Gen 3.
Ooh,
I'm on Gen 3. I think Gen 4 might be the key.
yeah. I would
by the
recommend
way-
moving up your tech.
By the way, what's with that slacker Wysocki?
He's playing golf,
it's
man.
hard.
Give him a break.
Well, his product is going to start turning into a chia pet pretty soon.
I thought it already was a chia pet.
No, but it will be the longer it sits, waiting for him to come and pick it up. I don't get where the disconnect is with him and that. I mean, he lives barely, 4 miles from my house, maybe.
Mm. Well, maybe it's
Maybe you just
maybe
have to go
it,
to his.
5.
maybe you just gotta go to
But-
his house.
but-
I can give you his address if you want.
Well, but when he goes to the gym, he could literally
Yeah.
cross the railroad tracks and 2 blocks later be at my house.
I don't know. Maybe it's a personal thing,
I mean-
man. Did you upset him?
I don't think so. As a matter of fact,
Listen to
I-
like we got couples therapy going on now.
well, I don't know. Maybe it's a Chicago thing. Maybe he's still mad because I'm a Packers fan.
Yeah, you know what? I'll let him know that he needs to get over there, and I'll give you his address, and you can stop by, and that way you can stop by more often.
Oh, I know. I know where he lives.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
He knows where I live. That's why I said I don't see where the disconnect is here.
I see. Well, we'll see what we can do for you, John. Appreciate the phone call. If anyone else wants to call in, 701-293-9000. This is the Red Wing Shoe Line. We got fun things coming up on the program today. Not alone, just your check on your forecast that is looking a little promising, in my opinion, for the extended week forecast. But also some fun things coming up. We got Chris Sherman from Tech Support Farm. He's in studio with us today. We'll be talking about some tech and farm stuff, as well as a few of our ag topics that we'll get to through the course of this hour, including some biological chemistry and a little bit of Oh boy, here's a fun word. Clopifrifos label update. How close was I on butchering that one?
Really close to butchering it. It's actually copyrifos.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was even better. Clopyrifos.
Clopyrifos. We'll talk about your
Clopyrifos.
science
Sounds like
discussions
acetaminophen.
later. Right.
The only
Not
way I
even
actually
close.
remember how to pronounce that is acetaminophen. That's the only way I can remember how to pronounce that drug.
Well, and now everybody else does too.
And
So really, it's
our
kinda
last
perfect.
topic we'll get to today is don't clean out the garden quite yet. And I didn't actually pick the last of my tomatoes last night. Bridgette, are my tomatoes going
they're
to be
done.
okay? Are they going to be good to use, or are they trash now?
I think they might be sort of trashed. You
Darn.
and I both know that it got cold enough last night, and you might just be tired of them and call it done.
Well, that's why they didn't get picked yesterday.
There you go.
And
So,
that
no,
most of them are green, so
it doesn't matter anymore, right? They're over. Don't
I
need to
already
talk
made
about
my 80 pounds of salsa. I'm kind of over it for the year.
'em. That's true.
You know.
But if you think about it, I noticed like my peonies had some disease to them earlier this
Your
year.
what?
So the peonies,
Oh.
they're the flower, the big
Sure.
pink
Yeah,
bushy
yeah.
flowers. So those leaves looked kind of trashed. I did go ahead and clip those off because of the disease that I saw in the leaves. But there are some places where I'm going to leave a little extra leaf litter to help be some snow cover, maybe
Ah,
over my
yes.
strawberry patch.
Insulate
And
them.
it's okay. Absolutely. And, do try to clean things up, but you don't have to really sanitize the whole yard yet. It's okay to leave a few things out there. Personally, I don't clean a lot of vines or anything out of the garden. I till them all back under. If I saw some disease, it's a good idea to remove what looks diseased. Maybe if you had some wilt on your cucumber vines, you want to get rid of those. But overall, there's a lot of stuff that can just go right back into your soil profile, and that's okay.
Yeah, right on. Let's see. Why don't we do a quick rundown on your forecast for the day? I'll let you know what the next
Please.
couple days are going to be unfolding, and we'll give you a more extensive one towards the end of the show. But for today, just kind of a chilly but sunny afternoon. Low to mid 50s for highs today. Southeast winds about 5 to 15 miles per hour. As we head through tonight, the wind will stay steady. Well, it'll be light, and it'll become steady about 10 miles per hour towards tomorrow morning, and that will help keep temperatures fairly mild. I expect some mid and upper level clouds to kind of filter in throughout the course of the night, and for most locations that will help spots from bottoming out below, almost about to say below zero, but below freezing. We'll see a lot of low to mid 30s around the area tonight, so patchy freezing conditions, especially around the Devil's Lake Basin. Wider spread frost again. Temps about 34 here in Fargo tonight. South winds 10 to 15. And then we're in the mid to upper 60s on Wednesday. And we're in the low 70s on Thursday, although it will turn windy tomorrow with a good 20 to 30 mile an hour wind out of the south-southwest. So that's going to be predominantly on the eastern half of the state, so not as much of a wind concern out in western North Dakota, where they've been dealing with all those sparky hot things.
And there still are some fires that I wouldn't say 100% containment. If you think about the area, especially by Mandaree, even out towards Grassy Butte, it's a lot of rough countryside. It's not very flat. It's hard to get to. And that's why there's been a lot of firefighting done by air more than by ground. Two of our livestock producers from Western North Dakota, one farms, one is not only has cattle, but is the fire chief for the city of Ray, North Dakota. They were just recently on a podcast for Shark Farmer, and he actually has been a past guest of ours as well. And so if you're interested in hearing more from the perspective of those who literally fought the fires, I would take the time to go listen to that podcast. And secondly, one of the men from the podcast is going to join us on air this Friday to talk about what happened and sort of the aftermath of what's going to be going on in that Ray Tioga area as well.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of aerial footage of the fires out there when they were kind of, well, actually, some from just the other day, but also during the peak. And yeah, it looked kind of nasty out there, Bridgette. I can't lie. That did not look like a great thing.
I'd say it was pretty bad.
I was under the impression, and besides being under the impression, I know that Wyoming has also been dealing with some very devastating wildfires out there. And it just kind of seems like none of it is really making news in the shadow of Hurricane Helene and Milton Now, I haven't really seen any public news spots actually talking about the near 100,000 acres of North Dakota that have burnt, and I think it's near 100,000, if not more, acres over in some pretty nice areas of Wyoming as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mother Nature tends to use fire as a way to reset when she
Yeah,
needs
we're
to.
going to rebirth
And
everything.
we're going to see quite a bit of that this year in some areas that don't normally go through some of that fire danger. But thankfully, folks are keeping a close eye on all of those, being very cautious when it comes to, watching for sparks that could come from equipment or other places. And if you can help us keep the wind down, we'd appreciate it.
We will see what we can do, the best of what we can do. Hi there, caller. Can you hold on for a moment?
You bet.
Awesome. We'll take you right after the break. So callers, just hold on here. We'll come back to you in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back to the phone line, and then we have Chris Sherman from Tech Support Farm. He's going to be joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about broadband connectivity for agriculture in North Dakota and Minnesota. And if you got any questions pre or during our conversation for Chris, feel free to give us a call, 701-293-9000. We'll come back to those phone lines, your questions, and our interview in just a moment. Welcome back to the program. Thanks for rejoining us on this October 15th. It is 1:23:30 right now. Red Wing Shoe Line gets you a screen to be on the program today, 701-293-9000. That phone line brought to you buy Red Wing shoes. You can find them over there on Main Avenue. Teresa will hook you up with a great set of boots or some fast hiking shoes. They got a great selection. They're comfortable and they're durable. Going on like 14 years on one pair of shoes. So trust me, if they'll last you a long time. We're going to head over to the Red Wing Shoe phone line right now. Bring in Doug to the conversation. Doug, what's going on today?
I happen to be wearing Irish setters, which is a Red Wing product, guys.
Hey, there you go.
Nice.
Hey, you guys, I ran I-90 here. You spoke about the fires in Wyoming. And right after the big one went from east of Douglas towards Gillette across 90.
Yep.
I had a guy running out ahead of me about a half hour, and he had told me the fire, just spoke about it. So I put my odometer to it, and gosh, I can't remember, but I thought I know it was in the 20 some miles of that interstate that burnt, and it got both sides, the fence, every sign. Oh my God, it was unreal. And what struck me out there was all the skid steers that the state of Wyoming had brought in to get those fences back up. I'm telling you, I saw 50 if I saw one skid steer. I know I did, maybe 80.
Wow.
It was, and
That's impressive.
I don't know if you know, but
they were
Right.
putting in posts and string and wire with those skid steers.
They were pulling at the time. They were getting out all the charred stuff, but I know the state of Wyoming, all state and federal highways, the state of Wyoming actually maintains and builds all those fences. So,
Yes.
The producers out there got a heck of a break on that one, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good.
that was an amazing fire.
Good.
Fire retardant on the interstate as well. Quite a deal.
Crazy.
So, have a good day, guys.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call. Thanks for listening,
Thank
Doug.
you.
Yeah, it was nasty out there. I tell you that. It's not great.
No, less than great. But we're going to switch to something really great, and that would be our guest today, and that's Chris Sherman. He is with Tech Support Farm. Chris is our cybersecurity expert and does a fantastic job of that, but also just bringing to light what's going on in our rural areas when it comes to broadband. I feel like I'm living that right now. I'm in sight of a cellular phone tower.
Does that help at all, though?
I'm okay for service. If I went into the shop and used the broadband, it'd be kind of marginal. So is this everybody's life, Chris? I'm in South Central North Dakota right now.
Unfortunately, it is very much everybody's life.
Are we on?
Oh, okay. Yeah. No.
You guys are
No.
good?
We're
Okay.
good. We just had a little volume thing there for a quick second. We're good though.
Okay.
But no,
So go ahead, Chris, jump in.
I can tell you that even east of Moorhead, we're still seeing stuff like that. Right on Highway 10,
Really?
north side, it's, we're seeing, 12 meg up and, and it's just it's not great.
I've even noticed it on I-29 just past, well, I guess when I go through Harwood, I actually drop all my 5G it's only about a mile or so, but it drops completely, and I'm basically just left with almost useless anything.
So we do know that Verizon and AT&T, they swap, they move towers and stuff like that. And we know that Verizon moved a tower just out east of Moorhead just recently, and that has, really impacted, cell coverage there as well. And then at the same time, we know that Midco and some of the other, providers are still using the antennas to bring the internet in. And so that's really impeding everybody's speeds and that sort of thing as well. So, but we still, see the guys coming along and trenching in cable and putting it under, so hopefully one of these days we're going to start seeing, connectivity improve around here for everybody.
Okay, so connectivity on the farm. I heard you say bringing things in through antenna.
Yep.
I live in a small town where we have fiber optic. Okay, who's getting the better reception? A farm with their own antenna system that can pull things in, or me hooked up to a fiber optic? And how does that affect? Well, I guess I'll wait till you finish that, but then I got a question about how that affects cybersecurity for both of us.
So really the broadband coming in through your fiber is going to be the best way to go. And that's because, we like when you have antennas and you've got receivers, anything from, wind, or, we've had guys call and we have to go out there and figure out that, their receiver has been tweaked by, a branch or something that hit it. That's, that really, slows things down and causes you problems. Unfortunately as well, with a lot of these rural ISPs or internet service providers, we have seen, some spotty coverage in certain areas where it has been difficult, and it isn't as consistent as we would like it to be. But in general, I would say that it's significantly better to go with the wired and the fiber optic, for sure.
So that leads me to the second part of my question, and that is, as those in rural areas, on farms, etc., which one lends itself to a worse cybersecurity situation, or doesn't it matter? We're all hackable, irregardless of our broadband or however it is we're getting our internet service.
I would say that it's not going to impact it one way or another. Connectivity is going to be connectivity.
Okay.
I mean, if we really wanted to venture out there and speculate, we would say that maybe the slower speeds are going to be less desirable for somebody to hack on because they're frustrated because they can't get in. I mean, it's that old saying, like if you have Windows 7, nobody's going to hack it because nobody remembers how, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything is hackable. Everything is susceptible to that. But, really they're going to go after the opportunity. But I guess I don't know exactly whether broadband and high speeds are going to impact that or not.
Right. And I know that getting high-speed internet across the state and really across the country has been a big goal. How do you define what high-speed internet is? What's that threshold that defines just having internet access compared to high-speed internet?
So the minimum threshold set by the FCC was 25 meg download and then 3 upload. And, traditionally most of the state of North Dakota and Minnesota are above that. But that is definitely the bare minimum of what is acceptable. Unfortunately with, a lot of the equipment and software that we're using, especially in precision ag these days, that is something that, we need to see, improved speeds. Mm-hmm. One thing that really is a challenge is when you get growers or producers out there that they find a solution that they want to adopt. And unfortunately, then, the tech guy comes along and lets them know that, you have DSL, and unfortunately that's not going to be, compatible because you need higher speeds for, upload and download of data and storage and that sort of thing.
Well, I was going to lead into my next part of my next question is for those who cannot get access to the higher speed or high speed internet, how does that affect their operation or on their farm? If they don't have access to that high speed, how does that hinder them?
I mean,
maybe that'd be more of a Bridgette question than on your end, since you deal more with the tech part of it. But
in my experience, and previously I've seen where farms have had to decide not to go with a certain technology or a certain solution based on the fact that they can't adopt it.
Sure.
If you can't get the ROI out of it, because of, the cost, going into it, and then you don't have the internet, or the infrastructure to support it, then it's a waste of money at that point.
Right.
So.
Okay. And Bridgette, I know you have a little bit more experience of in the field when it comes to the connectivity of tractors and whatnot. What does that mean on a farm side?
Things have improved so tremendously that when you're in the field, I feel like your connectivity is actually better a lot of times due to satellite. But when we come back, I think one of the things we want to talk about is when that connectivity fails and you are trying to monitor remote bin sites, grain dryers, livestock operations, etc., and some of the challenges that come along with that. And I think Chris has a lot of great examples because he always does. And every time I see the meme that says, I'm a hacker, I have all your passwords and I'm holding them for ransom, and my response would be, oh, good. What are my passwords? I think of Chris and realize how much he would hate my system of keeping my passwords. So that's a whole nother day's topic, but I think of you every time with it, Chris. So everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back to continue our discussion with Chris Sherman. He is with Tech Support Farm, and we want to talk more about cybersecurity after this. Welcome back to Weather and Egg in Focus, live from the cab of my pickup. Yeah, but Justin and our guests today are in studio, so they're holding down the fort. We have no idea where Dean is, so we're just happy to have you along for the ride today. Thank you. As we wrap up our Here We Grow project, thank you to those who were sponsors and part of it all season long. To Steffes Group, thank you for making sure that we had equipment in the field, and if we needed any changes, we could easily do them through your auction service. Check them out at Steffes Group online. Also, to go to bank, if you are looking to switch banks, they now have a location in the Fargo area right by Target. And with Dakota Bank, you have the opportunity to use their online banking systems, and a very friendly system it is. So thanks to them. And Justin and I are busy gathering up those guesses on our yield count for Here We Grow. So if you have a guess on your number of bushels you think we raise this year, send them to us. You can email them ag or weather at flagfamily.com. You can put them on our Facebook page at Weather and Ag in Focus. And additionally, when you win, the opportunity for a rain gauge from Productive Alternatives in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, or a grain gauge. That'll be from IntelliFarms in Castleton. So we're going to happy to share prizes. And again, looking forward to telling you what our bushels were here in just a couple weeks. We're going to have a big announcement when we can share more regarding our donation to farm rescue, etc. Our guest today is Chris Sherman. We are very happily talking with him about security and broadband. And I find it funny that my phone wants, or my iPad wants to glitch, because I'm probably not in a great phone service area.
No, you're popping a little bit from time to time, but that's all right. That's cell towers trying its best.
It's doing everything it can. I can see it right over there. Now, this happens to farmers all the time, Chris. How does it hamper their daily lives?
Well, typically they end up calling me and telling me that their internet's out again. And so, troubleshooting is pretty difficult, especially when, farms are, we're trying to create networks where you have one internet service point, right? Where, maybe you have a farm and then you've got the house. And so we're trying to port the internet from the house to the farm. Each time we have a new gateway, that creates one more spot where that internet service can be dropped, or, something that can be compromised. And again, like we talked about, certain cell companies and moving towers and stuff like that, really impacts us. I know some of our producers are struggling getting their tractors online because they were all running with, a certain cellular manufacturer's chips, their little SIM cards. And now that, that tower moved, their connectivity is just kind of in the tank. And so it becomes this constant, chasing your tail, trying to make sure that everything's connected.
Right. And when it comes to those different kind of hiccups and whatnot and outages, how does that affect, say, like cloud-based management or remote sensings and monitoring of the farms or the operations?
It really feels like, the lights get shut off, right? You don't have any connectivity. You don't have the visibility that you once did. You don't have the ability to, make those decisions if your guidance system goes out, or, if you can't see your bins, you can't see your overhead doors, you can't see your cameras, you can't see, a lot of these things. And that's kind of where we really strongly talk with guys about, what's known as BCDR, or backup and disaster recovery modules, and your game plans for what happens in those scenarios when unfortunately, the power goes out, so to speak.
Right. So what are some of the things when it comes to how you respond to different calls like that? How do you respond?
Specifically for us, we're an ag-based company, and so therefore we're kind of 24/7. And depending on the severity of the situation and what's going on, we've gone to service calls at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, and on Fridays and Saturdays, and that's just the nature of the game, right?
Right.
Ag is not an 8 to 5 thing, so it really we also try to make sure that we are here to support the software and the solution vendors. So we don't want your dealership to feel like we're trying to take over their stuff, but really it's a matter of making sure that things are staying connected. And, electronics is sensitive. And so, when you have things like power surges and stuff like that, it really can, hamper productivity. And then that's where it kind of gets, a little bit dicey. And next thing you know, we end up with dealers and service techs and then us out there. And, so it's a group and a team effort. I would say that. So,
You said service techs. That brings something to mind. So if your internet service isn't great on the farm,
yes.
and you have a tractor or a combine in the shop, and a service technician comes out from your local dealer and needs to work on it, but you don't have great internet service, that can hamper just getting
absolutely.
that piece of equipment back on the road.
Yes. And then,
Okay.
it even, it boils down to, whether it's your cell phone coverage or your internet speeds or anything like that in the shop. Our buildings are not lending themselves to being very, compatible with cell phone signals and that sort of thing. So, yeah, we all find ourselves having to buy boosters and bridges and stuff. So, yeah, it is definitely a major problem.
So you have shared some statistics with Justin and I in regards to broadband across both states.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights from that you found in your research and you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I guess I found it very interesting that there's such a disparity between urban and rural populations. And it's not so much that the disparity exists, it's just that it skews the percentages so dramatically, right? When we're talking about, like 91% of Minnesota households have, what's considered acceptable internet, upload and download speeds. And then the same was, I think it was 96% for North Dakota. The problem is that our population centers, that really skews our numbers when you have Fargo, Moorhead, or Fargo and Grand Forks, Bismarck, and then you turn around and you've got Minneapolis, St. Cloud, and some of these, heavily populated metro areas.
Right. Then you got the rest of the state.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Because, let's be honest, New Leipzig, North Dakota would like to have a word.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, they definitely would. Yes. And even think about, you got Minot, and Minot has great service, but outside of that, and when we talk about, these broadband initiatives, especially with the federal government and, the FCC is pushing it, they talk about the phases that, these projects are going through, and you can actually go online and you can look at these maps, and see where, connectivity is compared to where it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And you can see it slowly inching your direction. So,
right.
But yeah, we've definitely got a ways to go yet.
So in terms of expanding that network, how is some of the funding sourced or allocated to do that, to expand high-speed internet to the rural parts of the country, or in our instance, our state, I guess?
And a lot of it is federal grants and monies that have been appropriated, through Congress, and then at the same time, we had that Infrastructure and Jobs Act, a couple years ago, and a lot of that is where those dollars are coming from, and it really is pushing, it's pushing your telecommunications companies and your ISPs to get out there and really put in, plow in the infrastructure, and that's why you see, all of these companies out there on the sides of the road, plowing it in.
So many things that are going to need to change before we can see what the goals are and met. When I hear USDA say, wow, we're going to get broadband internet to every home. I have friends who live in Illinois who have crappier internet than we do up here.
Yes.
There's a long way to go in every state.
And that's what's interesting also is that North Dakota is near the top of the states that have high-speed internet.
Right. Well, I know that's been a big push for North Dakota. Is one of their main goals is they want to have every part of the state have that accessibility. And I believe here that it was, well, as you'd mentioned, the population centers throw that a little bit out of disproportion, but 96% of North Dakota residents have access to that minimum threshold for high-speed internet,
and
which
89%
I think is great.
of the population has access to fiber networks, which is dramatically higher. But again, when you think about North Dakota's population,
we're kind of broken into about 4 or 5 towns.
Correct.
Well, specifically 3.
Yeah.
But, Chris, you shared a couple of interesting facts here about broadband in North Dakota and Minnesota, and one of them that we were kind of talking about earlier and that I thought was kind of interesting, if you could expand a little bit more on that, was that broadband boosts farm productivity. For every 10% increase in broadband access in rural areas, farm productivity can grow 1 to 2%. Besides the, I guess, literal definition, what does that mean?
So it's really saying that the better access we have to broadband, for every 10% increase in speed, it really is boosting the farming's capability by 1 to 2% of productivity. And so really what we're looking at is, the faster the internet, the better, quality of infrastructure that we have and the dependability. That gives farmers and growers and producers more options to adopt new technologies that will improve yields and, productivity across the board. So
Right.
it's fascinating to me because it just demonstrates how not only dependent we are on technology, but, the better the better foundation that we build for ourselves, especially now, that's going to have a dramatic impact on our kids and grandkids, future and their productivity.
Right. And I think a lot of that, too, is a big thing. In terms of the technologies that they're losing out on the productivity, farms without fast internet will miss out on all that technology. And even in North Dakota, with the 25% of farms that still don't have access to the broadspan speeds needed, what are some of those technologies that they're missing out on that would improve their productivity?
I mean, you think about right now during harvest and monitoring your dryer, monitoring your moisture content in your bins, keeping an eye on the dryer, especially overnight. You think during the summer you've got your irrigation, you've got your equipment monitoring, GPS and tracking and that sort of thing. A lot of, think about, any of these, cloud-based, solutions for data, tracking.
Right.
I think just even some of your banking, your record
Yes.
keeping, as winter gets here and weather gets tough and you can't always get to those sites where you may be running a grain dryer or you got cattle.
Yep.
So all of that gets impacted.
And then, think about even just the creative solutions that people come up with. We've got seed plants that have cameras, mounted across, inside the building and up inside, their facilities, monitoring, sumps and legs and keeping track of making sure that things aren't plugging up. Suddenly now you have to have a person physically there watching this all the time.
Right.
So it really would, it increases our dependence on manual labor and being physically present. You can't be multitasking.
Right. No,
much.
definitely hard to do that.
Chris, we really enjoy it when you come and join us. But for those who want to catch more information from you, how can they do that?
Yeah. You can visit our website at www.techsupport.farm, or you can give us a call at 701-446-8518. We're also at a lot of these different conventions. We're going to be at the Tri-State Grain Growers Association in, I want to say it's November, the first week of November, if I'm not mistaken. And then we're going to be at, other events coming up throughout the year as well. So definitely, follow our Facebook and our website, and we'll kind of keep, that I will post it up there. So.
Right. And in terms of Tech Support Farm, just a quick little, I guess I don't know what to call it, but what can you offer from Tech Support Farm to a farmer or a provider or somebody who's looking for services? What services can you provide for them?
Going back to connectivity, we definitely are able to help you out, improve your speeds and maximize what you do have and the infrastructure that you're working with. Then we also, will help, educate and provide, better cybersecurity, improve your security across the board. We take on a lot of projects, whether it's cameras or certain pieces of automation, whether it's fuel management systems or gates and that sort of thing, networking and all of that. we try to be we want to be the people that help, support and build the infrastructure that your devices and your solutions live on. And then we also secure it and make sure that, that you're armed and protected.
Great. And if they want to learn more about that, again, what was the website?
techsupport.farm.
Awesome. Well, Chris, appreciate it. Thanks for coming in today, talking a little bit about connectivity across the, North Dakota and Minnesota.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate that. We'll take a few moments here, get caught up with a few of our sponsors. We come back. We still got ag topics. Check on your forecast. And if you want to sneak in quick to the show, we still got a few more minutes. We got open line 701-293-9000. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the program. Thanks for rejoining us. 154.34 on this Tuesday, October 15th. The year is 2021. Or maybe it's 24. I don't know. Bridgette, what do you got going on over there? What do you got in your traveling plans for the afternoon? I see you're in the cab of your pickup. Surprised you just haven't subscribed to Starlink at this point instead of relying on those old cell towers that are blinking at you in the distance.
Guess it's time to put the tiny Starlink satellite dish on the top.
You know,
of my
I know a
pickup to
guy
drive
who
around with,
knows
right?
a guy who knows Elon, so we could probably hook you up with a deal.
So, right now I am just trying to make sure that it doesn't get overly loud as I see trucks and combines going by me. And I swear to God, they're doing it on purpose to make as much noise as they can for the moment. But I do also want to point out that we talk about biologicals when we're in the field, pesticides, herbicides, etc. And not all biologicals are just for the organic markets. So when we talk about biopesticides, we can be using those for weed control, for pest control, for disease. And we are using those more often in conventional fields as well as in organic fields. They can have an additional cost. Sometimes that cost outweighs what you're doing conventionally. But if it's not, you may see some higher prices by using those biologicals until they get more refined and developed. It's anticipated by the year 2040, we're going to see that biological market being as big as our conventional chemistry market that we're with today. But we are seeing more and more of them. Again, not all just going to the organic market. We see a lot of these used in produce, but they've become more widespread in wheat, corn, soybeans, etc. as well.
And in terms of this old clopla, the C word, we're just going to call it the C word from now on. What can you tell me about this label update?
All right, clopyrifos, which is an insecticide primarily used in this region for soybean aphids, spider mites, and banded sunflower moth. It was taken off the market here a couple years ago, but now has made a return with some new restrictions that are coinciding with the Endangered Species Act. So to farmers, remember that this is a product that is labeled. It is not as many trade names as what we once had before, so you have to look very closely to find chlorpyrifos. There are larger buffer zones, and also certain counties, you need to go check bulletins live to see if your counties allow you to spray chlorpyrifos because of potential endangered species. So that's just a couple of the things that have changed with chlorpyrifos. You're going to want to have a little more research over the winter months in case that's an insecticide that you need to be using in the season of 2025. So just a couple things that are happening a little bit differently on the farm, you might say.
Mm-hmm. Bridgette, how many times did you have to say that word before you got the pronunciation down?
Pronunciation wasn't nearly as bad as the spelling, I'll tell you that, but I learned both of them many years ago.
The spelling doesn't even come close to how it's pronounced. Not anywhere close. I never knew there were so many silent letters. You got P's and T's and Q's. Holy moly.
If you'd like to sit down with the North Dakota State Weed Guide one day and we could go through things like mazamatapir, etc.
North Dakota's got a weed guy?
We have a weed science specialist, Joe Eichele, and
really?
we have a weed guide, a printed guide. There is one in pretty much every sprayer, water truck, farm shop, and pickup around. Everybody uses it. It's really a great reference piece of material.
Learning
new
something
ones coming out
new
in January.
Really? I can't wait.
New ones will be out in January.
You'll have to print me off
I'll
a
bring you
copy of it so that way I can stow it away in the garage right on my shelf or on the wall. I can look at it.
Will do.
All right. Well, let's see. I don't think our bumper music fired. We got about 7 seconds left of the show. I'm glad I looked up. So that's all we got for you today, folks. Bye.